Hey guys, give me a break, man here, and as your man in Japan, I am taking it upon myself to talk to you a little bit about the whale issue in Japan. As a lot of you know, there's a new movie out. I think it was by a New Zealand director, and it deals with dolphins and the hunting of dolphins in a city called Taiji, which is in Wakayama Prefecture. And what I'm gonna do, if you don't know where that is, it's about, I guess, driving about 4 or 5 hours from here, southwest of Nagoya, 4 or 5 hours west of Tokyo. Anyway, what I'm gonna be doing with this video is putting a link in the side to a Japan Times article that just came out September 23rd, Wednesday, and it's of course. It's by Japan Times, so we can argue that it's not exactly accurate, but I'd like to just bring you up to date. First of all, before I get into this, what I do want to say about the hunting of dolphins, it's easy for us as Westerners to be, hoity-toity and uppity about, and self-righteous about how wrong we feel this is, but I'm not sure that accomplishes much. I'm not trying to be apologetic for the Japanese, but and definitely if this were a third world country, I would even argue this strong. My position would be even stronger. But this is something that a lot of people. This is the way people live, And when you start getting start criticizing the way people live, well, that's a slippery slope, as they say. So, as much as I am disgusted by the sight of dolphins being slaughtered, I will agree with the Japanese that there isn't really much difference with the way pigs or cows are slaughtered. We just seem to, treat dolphins a little bit. They seem to get special privileges, that other animals don't. So, anyway, what I'm going to be doing is reading from this article. It's by Minoru Matsutani, who I don't know, of course. But he's a staff writer for the Japan Times, and I'm just going to bring you up to date with what's happening in Japan regarding this big controversy. Yeah, there's a movie that just came out in New Zealand, and it's making the rounds at film festivals all over the world, and it's about the slaughtered dolphins. And anyway, let's get to it. So the article is entitled "Details on How Japan's Dolphin Catches Work." Now notice it says dolphin catches, not dolphin hunting. Something interesting. But the first sentence says, dolphin slaughters in Taiji, Wakayama Prefecture have drawn strong protests from animal rights groups, their supporters, and foreign media over what they call the brutality of the traditional hunt. So, and they talk a little bit about animal activists, and also, which a lot of people have pointed out to me, that there is a higher amount of methyl mercury in dolphins than in other fish. Dolphins seem to have quite a high amount. And if you don't know what the big deal is, you might know about the Minamata disease in Japan in the 1950s and 1960s. And there's some really horrible, but in the same time kind of hauntingly beautiful pictures became famous in photographic journalists that took pictures of how families holding up their crippled children, like crippled because of the mercury. When I mean beautiful, I don't mean, of course, in a human way. Just the photographs were beautiful, but in a way that touched you. They really brought it home in a very vivid way. But anyway, so the dolphin meat apparently has quite a bit of mercury. Now, as someone who's lived in Japan for 18 years now, I have never seen dolphin meat for sale openly. I have seen whale meat. Excuse my cold. And actually, I saw it yesterday. They were selling some whale meat at the local supermarket. I think it was about $3 or $4 for a hunk about that big and about an inch thick. Not that much. They only had 2 pieces there. It was next to the squid and in the fish section, of course. So it is considered, fish and here. But anyway, here's some of the questions, some of the answers. How many dolphins are caught in Japan and where are they hunted? Up to now, I've heard that the number has been up 20,000. But according to this article, it's 13,000 were caught in 2007. And it gives you numbers telling you exactly how much were caught in every section. The fisheries agency sets a quota for each prefecture. And dolphins, because they're not technically whales, they do not fall under the purview of the International Whaling Commission. So those of you who are, against dolphin hunting might consider maybe lobbying the International Whaling Commission to include them in future counts. How are they caught? Okay, the first question, how are they caught? In Taiji, fishermen herd them into a small cove by banging iron pipes and then harpooning them. In case you don't know, banging the iron pipes disorients the dolphins. Dolphins work with sonar, so when you bang pipes in the water, it confuses the hell out of them. I'm not really sure how or why they don't just move out to the ocean, but maybe they're already in the cove, so they just go, they encircle them and push them into shallow water. When they get into shallower water, they harpoon them. Some of the dolphins are taken alive for sale at aquariums. I have read in other articles that one dolphin's meat is about 50,000 yen, which is about, I don't know, $500 to $600 US. The meat, if you sell the meat. If you capture it alive and sell it alive, it's 150,000 yen, which is $1,800 or so. A little less maybe, but anyway, you get the idea. So they're worth 3 times more alive than they are dead. Okay, so this year, September 9th, fishermen in Taiji caught about 100 bottlenose dolphins and 50 pilot whales. And this was their first seasonal hunt, and they let them go. They let them go because of all the criticism, because of the Cove movie and international criticism. And this is a small town, and I think the population is about 3,000 plus, 3,000 to 4,000. So they do not want this attention. They hate it. They really hate all this criticism. But at the same time, a lot of the people interviewed there said, "Well, we've been eating dolphin for a year. We like it. It tastes good. It's delicious." And if you were to go to an Idaho or I don't know, somewhere in the Midwest and criticize them for killing cows, you would probably expect a very similar reaction. So. Again, I'm not apologizing for the Japanese, but we really have to put this into perspective, right? So what happens? Next question: what happens? What happens to? And I'm skipping around here, but I'll leave a link to the site. You can read along if you want to read it later. What happens to captured dolphins? 99% are slaughtered for food, and the rest are sold to aquariums and outside Japan. I hear that in Hong Kong, quite a few Hong Kong. There's someone in Hong Kong who buys live dolphins and works as a broker to sell them across all over Asia. Dolphins bring in the crowd. So in the end, there is a demand for live dolphin shows. So as much as you might want to criticize the Taiji fishermen and the people who capture, the people who work as brokers, you've got to remember that people want to see dolphin shows. People want to take their kids to dolphin shows. People don't, generally, people don't think it's such a mean thing. That dolphins look happy. And I read an article also about the dolphin smile being the biggest lie in nature, because dolphins look like they're happy because they have a smile, but actually they're apparently pretty miserable. And I believe, I believe that. I'm not. I don't mean to. I know I sound a little cynical there. Like, how do they know what a dolphin feels? But I'm sure if you do work with animals for a long time, you can tell how they feel. I definitely know how my dog Maggie feels. I can tell when she's very happy or when something's wrong. But anyway, there is no official data showing places of consumption. But like I just said, I've talked to quite a few students, and no one I've ever met has ever eaten dolphin. A few people have eaten whale, but again, very rarely. Very rarely. Let's see. Here's a little information. How is dolphin meat cooked, and how does it? How much does it cost? According to this article, grilling dolphin in soy sauce is very popular. And you can stew it, make a stew with miso, carrots, and devil's tongue, which is konyaku. It's kind of a tasteless, thick jelly. But anyway, the retail price of dolphin is between $1 to $2. $1, $10 to $2.20, whatever in that area, for 100 grams. Is that expensive? I don't know. I mean, regular beef is really expensive here. Now, the big controversy this year, or something that the film is trying to use to get Japanese to stop eating dolphin, is apparently the fact that, they claim that dolphin meat contains mercury. And according to the ministry in the year 2000, they tested 9,700 fish, 9,700 different types of fish, sorry. They checked 9,700 fish and 400 different types of fish in the early 2000s, And apparently, yes, they do. So here's the funny thing. They do not recommend married women to eat dolphin. So if you ask me, if that sounds like cigarettes, right? If married women shouldn't smoke and shouldn't eat dolphin meat, maybe it's not good for you. But anyway, and at most you should eat it once every 2 months. So that's funny. Let's see. The next question then: why do some experts and animal activists argue eating dolphin meat is dangerous, and that it shouldn't be sold? Why do they argue that? And I give you some numbers here regarding how much mercury is in each one. The health ministry said in 1973 that these studies do not apply to dolphin meat because it's so rarely eaten. So other fish are eaten quite regularly, but dolphin are not eaten regularly, so it's okay to eat it rarely. But, you know, if you ask me, if anything has got mercury in it, you want to avoid completely. Let's go on. Next question is, I can't trust the Japanese government. Is there any advice from a third party? And there is something called the Japan's Consumer Cooperative Union, which gives you some, it points out that dolphin meat contains particularly high levels of methyl mercury, and advises, the wording here is very funny, and it advises consumers to enjoy eating them only on very rare occasions. So please don't enjoy eating dolphin too often, or you might suffer some debilitating debilitating disease of some sort. Let's see, that's basically it. It talks a little bit about, it talks about how pregnant women can eat dolphin, but fetuses, no, it doesn't hurt the pregnant women, but of course it hurts the fetuses because fetuses are not yet developed enough to eliminate the methyl mercury, but adults can. And women who breastfeed don't have to be conserved because there's very little of it. I guess their women's body cleans it out before it gets to the breast milk. So. Here's the big question. Will the health ministry change its regulations on dolphin meat consumption because of criticism by international animal groups? So the question basically is, do you think they're going to change any laws as a result of all this international controversy? And he says, the reporter here, or the journalist says, probably not. The ministry says no regulation changes are urgently required. The criticism does not affect the health risk of residents in Japan. We do not have to change our stance just because animal protection groups say something, said Kenji Urakami of the Ministry of Standards and Evaluation Division. So there's a little education for you. I know a lot of you are interested. A lot of you have emailed me and asked me to make a video regarding this. I don't eat dolphin. None of my students eat dolphin. I've never met anyone who eats dolphin regularly, for sure. I've rarely met anyone who's even tried it. I think that there's very few people actually make money from hunting dolphins, so we can't. But at the same time, you can't just tell them to stop without offering them an alternative, especially when there is a demand for it. So educating the public and lowering the demand for dolphin meat and live dolphin shows might be the way to go, and eventually people will see that there's just no point in doing it, if there's no demand for it. Education is the way to go, my opinion. But it is disgusting for me to see the footage of dolphins being slaughtered. I mean, I have seen a lot of the videos here on YouTube, and it is disgusting. But at the same time, I've seen footage of pork, pigs and cows and chickens being slaughtered, and that's equally disgusting. So it's a little bit, I think, arrogant, and I don't want to say racist, of course, but it's definitely you're being really self-righteous if you think the problem is just a few ignorant Japanese, because it's not. It's a lot more complicated than that. But anyway, so there you go. That's the video on dolphins. And if you want to read more about this, if you have any links or any opinions, I do welcome video responses or comments, disagreeing or enlightening me. I'm not. This is something I don't know that much about, but because I do live in Japan, people ask me to speak upon this stuff. Anyway, there you go. I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching.
So give him a break.